God says, the curse over your family is breaking tonight. Not a spell, not a shadow in the dark, but the heavy chain of pain, silence, and misunderstanding that has been carried from one generation to the next. You have felt it in arguments that start without reason, in the quiet distance between people who love each other but do not know how to speak it, in the patterns that repeat though everyone swears they will stop. That weight is what breaks tonight. Every family carries echoes of the past. Words said in anger, choices made in fear, the silence that grew from disappointment, these become invisible threads that bind the present. You may not have caused the beginning of it, but you have felt its presence in your heart. The way you hold back emotion, the way you expect loss, the way joy sometimes feels borrowed, all of these are symptoms of that old heaviness. Yet tonight, the story begins to turn. Not because time has simply passed, but because awareness has arrived. Awareness is light, and light is what ends darkness. When you finally see the pattern, when you name the pain, when you decide that the story must change, that is when the breaking begins. The moment of release rarely comes with thunder or spectacle. It arrives quietly, like forgiveness whispered in prayer, like tears that fall without shame. It happens when you choose to see your family not through the lens of blame, but through compassion. Every wound once began as fear. Every mistake once began as longing. Understanding this does not excuse the hurt, but it allows healing to enter. You are the turning point. You are the place where the old story ends and a new one begins. God says that your awareness, your gentleness, your decision to stop repeating the same reactions, that is the instrument of grace. The breaking of the curse is not destruction, it is transformation. Look around you, the quiet gestures of change are already forming. Someone apologizes more easily. Someone listens instead of shouting. Someone, maybe you, chooses to pause before answering in anger. These are not small things, they are sacred acts that rewrite history. Healing a family line takes patience. There will be days when the old patterns try to return, whispering that nothing can really change. But God says the new pattern is stronger. What was built in fear cannot stand when love decides to stay. Each kind word spoken in place of bitterness is a brick laid in the foundation of a new home. Sometimes the breaking feels painful because it exposes what was hidden. The conversations that were avoided now rise to the surface. Secrets seek to be told. Emotions long buried begin to move. You might feel as if everything is coming apart, but it is not destruction, it is renewal. Old soil must be turned before new roots can take hold. When you look back on those who came before you, see their humanity, not just their mistakes. They lived with limited tools, their own fears, their own unspoken grief. They did the best they could with what they knew. By seeing them clearly, without idealizing or condemning, you release judgment and allow compassion to do its quiet work. God says, the line of pain ends with you because you have chosen awareness over denial, kindness over pride, and forgiveness over resentment. The weight that pressed on generations begins to lift the moment you decide to stop carrying what is not yours. Tonight does not mean the end of effort, it means the beginning of freedom. Healing will continue like ripples spreading from a single drop. Children will grow in lighter air. Conversations will become easier. Laughter will return where silence once lived. The breaking continues quietly, like dawn after a long night. It doesn't roar or demand attention, it unfolds in small moments that begin to feel holy. The curse, once just another word for the hurt that passed unseen, weakens every time love is chosen over pride. Every kind gesture, every honest word, every act of listening becomes a prayer that says, it ends with me. God says, the curse breaks not because of anger or revenge, but because of love brave enough to face truth. When you speak honestly about what hurt you and still choose to forgive, the energy that fed the old wound dissolves. What once fueled conflict now becomes the soil for understanding. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting. It means remembering without bitterness. It means seeing the pain clearly but choosing not to pass it on. There is great strength in that decision. The people who hurt you may never apologize, but that no longer binds your spirit. The power to release has always belonged to you. As the days pass, you notice small changes. Conversations that once felt impossible now carry warmth. The old stories lose their sharp edges. A kind of stillness settles in your heart, a peace that doesn't erase the past but transforms it. God says this peace is the proof that the breaking is real. Each time you resist the urge to repeat the old reaction, you are writing a new history. When you choose to comfort instead of criticize, to stay present instead of running away, to understand instead of accuse, you are rebuilding what was lost. It is not easy. Healing rarely is. There will be moments when old voices echo in your mind, whispering doubt or resentment. You might feel as if you are fighting an invisible weight, but that weight is only memory. It has no power except what you give it. Every breath of awareness weakens it further. God says, pain can echo through generations, but so can love. One act of courage creates ripples that travel beyond your sight. A single apology can soften decades of silence. A single word of kindness can heal what anger destroyed. You may not see all the results in your lifetime, but the energy of healing continues. It reaches the hearts of those who come after you, just as the old pain once did. This is how the curse truly breaks, through love that outlasts bitterness, through faith that endures doubt, through compassion that forgives without needing to forget. Each of these acts adds light to the family line. Imagine it now, the weight that once pressed down beginning to lift. The faces of those before you, their burdens finally lightened by your choice to forgive. the hearts of those who will come after you, freed from repeating the same stories. The light moving through time, through blood, through memory, gentle, steady, unstoppable. And in the quiet of your own heart, you feel something shift. The tension that used to sit between you and your loved ones begins to dissolve. Words flow easier. Laughter finds its way back into the room. The heaviness that made you dread certain days now feels distant, almost unfamiliar. God says, this is what healing looks like. It is not dramatic, it is consistent. It is a slow, steady light that refuses to go out. You are not erasing the past, you are rewriting its influence. You are turning inherited pain into inherited strength. By staying gentle, you are breaking the chain. By choosing peace, you are changing destiny. And with every breath of forgiveness, you are planting seeds that will bloom into safety, joy, and belonging for those who come next. The night that began with heaviness is ending with calm. You can almost feel it, the air in your home feels softer, your breathing slower. The stillness that follows release is not emptiness, it's the space where something new can finally live. The breaking of the curse isn't a violent moment, it is a quiet return to love. You start to see beauty where before there was only tension. A child's laughter in another room sounds different now, lighter, freer. A simple, good morning, between family members feels like a promise instead of a routine. Small changes, yes, but they mean everything. Because this is how generational healing happens, one gentle act at a time. God says, nothing pure is ever lost. The love that your ancestors tried to share but couldn't express, the prayers they whispered in fear, the goodness buried under pain, it all lives again in you. You are not starting something new, you are continuing what they hoped for but couldn't complete. You are fulfilling the prayer they didn't have the words to say. Every generation has someone who decides to stop running from pain and face it with open eyes. You are that person. The cycle of resentment and silence that seemed endless has met its match in your compassion. Where others avoided, you confronted. Where others hardened, you softened. Where others closed their hearts, you kept yours open. The breaking of the curse is the birth of wisdom. You have learned that love is not just a feeling, it's a decision repeated daily. You have learned that peace is not luck, it is built through choices of patience, honesty, and care. And you have discovered that family is not just blood, it is the shared decision to forgive, to listen, and to grow together despite pain. God says, this new peace will echo. Your children will inherit it. Their laughter will be your reward. Their calm will be your proof that the old storm is gone. You will see it in the way they love each other without fear, in the way they trust the world without waiting for disappointment. What once felt like a curse has become a blessing, a legacy of strength and understanding. You may still see traces of the old pain, but you will recognize it without fear. It will no longer control you. The difference is that now, you can meet it with love instead of reaction. And every time you do, the light grows stronger. There will be nights when you still remember what was lost, but you will no longer feel trapped by it. Instead, you will give thanks that you live to see transformation. Gratitude will replace grief. Understanding will replace anger. And peace will replace pain. When you think about your family now, you will not just see the mistakes. You will see the endurance, the way love somehow survived through every hardship. You will remember that even broken people can pass on hope, that even in silence, care was present. You will see that no story is truly cursed when love remains, even hidden. God says, your family line is not defined by its pain, but by its capacity to rise. Every hardship has been preparing you for this moment, to stand in the light, to remember who you are, to remind those around you that forgiveness is possible. You have become the bridge between the past and the future. The prayers of your ancestors stand behind you, the dreams of your descendants shine ahead. You are the meeting point where both finally rest in peace. And as the night ends, you realize the breaking has already happened. It happened in every quiet act of love, in every truth spoken with kindness, in every tear that fell in forgiveness. The air feels lighter, your heart freer. You are not the same person who began this journey. What was once called a curse has turned out to be a calling, to become a healer, a restorer, a bringer of peace. The burden you once feared has transformed into wisdom that will guide you and everyone after you. God says, tonight is not just an ending, it is a beginning. The chains are gone, the wounds are healing, and your family stands on new ground. The light that broke the darkness will not fade, it will grow stronger with each act of love you choose. And as you breathe in the quiet of this new day, you know deep inside that it's true, the story has changed forever, the curse is broken, the love remains, and the light will never leave your home again. The breaking of what once felt like a curse does not end with a single night. It continues in the quiet hours of reflection, in the deliberate choices to respond with love instead of reaction, and in the awareness that every small action matters. God says, even the smallest gestures of care ripple through time. A smile offered instead of a scolding, a word of encouragement instead of criticism, a moment of listening instead of judging, these are the acts that strengthen the bonds that once felt fragile. You begin to notice the shifts in behavior, not just in yourself, but in everyone around you. There is less tension, fewer harsh words, more moments of understanding. Patterns that seemed unchangeable slowly unravel. You see siblings cooperating instead of competing, parents showing patience instead of frustration, children learning respect and empathy. These changes may be subtle, but they are undeniable, and they carry the weight of real transformation. God says, the true measure of this breaking is not the absence of past pain, but the presence of new harmony. It is the ability to choose peace every day, even when memories of past conflicts rise. You are learning that forgiveness is a muscle, strengthened with repetition, patience, and courage. You do not forget the past, you use it as a guide to build a better present. Healing also requires courage to speak truths that were long silenced. Conversations that were avoided for fear of conflict now begin with honesty and calm. You acknowledge mistakes, admit vulnerabilities, and listen without judgment. The first words may feel awkward or fragile, but each one carries power: the power to heal, the power to unite, the power to release what has held the family in tension for so long. God says, speak clearly, but with gentleness. Share your heart without expecting perfection. Allow others to respond in their own time, without anger or pressure. The breaking of the curse is not about forcing change, it is about creating space where love can flourish naturally. You realize that patience is a vital part of this process. Some wounds take longer to heal, some hearts take longer to trust, and some members may resist the change. Yet even in their hesitation, progress is being made. The very act of choosing to stay committed to love, even in difficulty, weakens the grip of the old patterns. Every act of kindness now carries significance. A shared meal becomes more than nourishment, it is a ritual of unity. A simple apology carries more weight than any grand gesture because it reflects authenticity. Family traditions, once tainted with resentment or indifference, are renewed with intention and care. You begin to understand that the curse, if it ever existed, was never a supernatural force, it was the cumulative weight of unspoken pain, misunderstanding, and fear. And each moment of conscious love, forgiveness, and honesty chips away at it. God says, the light that begins to shine in your home tonight is a reflection of your choices. You cannot control everyone else's actions, but you can control your own. By choosing to respond with patience, understanding, and courage, you create an atmosphere where healing is inevitable. Spiritual awareness becomes part of daily life. You pray not just for yourself, but for everyone in your family, those who have hurt, those who have been hurt, and even those who resist change. The prayers are not magical spells, they are expressions of intention, love, and alignment with truth. They carry energy that moves hearts, softens defenses, and fosters connection. You notice that as your heart grows lighter, the tension in the household decreases. Laughter returns more easily. Conversations flow more smoothly. Even disagreements, when they occur, carry a new quality. They are addressed with respect and care rather than blame and frustration. The air itself seems to carry relief, a tangible sense of freedom that was absent before. God says, continue to nurture this environment. Each day is a choice to reinforce peace, to honor the lessons of the past, and to strengthen the bonds that will carry forward. Your actions become a model for future generations. Your courage in choosing healing today plants seeds that will grow into resilience, understanding, and love for years to come. The days following the night of breaking feel different. You notice that the air in your home is lighter, almost as if a weight has been lifted that no one could have measured before. Old arguments that once seemed inevitable now dissolve before they begin. Even the smallest gestures, holding the door, sharing a meal, asking a question with genuine interest, carry profound significance. God says, these moments are the true evidence of healing. You begin to understand that breaking the curse is not a single event, but a continuous choice. Every decision to respond with patience rather than frustration, to forgive rather than judge, and to love rather than withdraw reinforces the transformation. It is in these choices that real change solidifies. The patterns that once seemed unbreakable slowly lose their grip. Family members who resisted connection in the past begin to soften. Walls that were built over years of misunderstanding start to crumble. They may not admit it immediately, but you can sense the shift in their energy, the way they hesitate less before offering a kind word, the way they laugh more freely, the way their tone carries less tension and more warmth. God says, even the smallest sign of change is proof that the cycle is ending. Healing is also teaching you humility and patience. You learn that some wounds take time to fully close, and some hearts take time to trust. You witness moments of regression, but they no longer frighten you. You understand that progress is not linear, and that setbacks are not failures, they are opportunities to practice compassion, patience, and steady love. The curse, if it ever existed, cannot hold where persistence in goodness prevails. God says, celebrate every small victory. Each moment of understanding, each act of forgiveness, each effort to restore connection is a triumph of light over shadow. You begin to see that your choices, no matter how simple, are reshaping the legacy of your family. Where fear once ruled, hope now takes root. Where anger once echoed, peace now speaks. The children in the household feel the change even before they can articulate it. They respond to the lighter energy, the gentler tones, the laughter that fills spaces once heavy with tension. They learn from example that it is possible to love without resentment, to forgive without forgetting, to act with integrity even when the past seemed unforgiving. God says, these lessons are priceless, and they will carry forward into generations yet unborn. Your own heart is transformed as well. Where you once carried heaviness, fear, or dread, you now carry awareness, courage, and peace. You see your family's imperfections with clarity, yet you no longer judge harshly. You recognize that every person has been shaped by their own experiences, and that understanding this allows you to approach relationships with compassion rather than frustration. The breaking of the curse reveals another truth: you are not powerless. You are an agent of change. The love, patience, and courage you demonstrate do more than ease tension, they actively shape the emotional and spiritual climate of your family. God says, your presence, your integrity, and your intentional actions are instruments of transformation. You feel a renewed sense of hope, a recognition that the story is no longer defined by the past. The old weight, once invisible but heavy, no longer dictates your life. Patterns of anger, fear, and misunderstanding are replaced by patience, forgiveness, and love. What once seemed impossible has been made real through consistent choices, awareness, and divine guidance. Even in moments when old conflicts resurface, you notice that the energy has shifted. Disagreements are no longer battles for dominance. They are opportunities for dialogue and understanding. Misunderstandings are met with curiosity instead of accusation. Frustration is tempered with patience. The family dynamic has changed profoundly because the underlying energy has been transformed. God says, the curse is broken not through magic, but through the consistent practice of love and awareness. Every act of kindness, every word spoken in truth, every moment of forgiveness reinforces this transformation. What was once a cycle of pain has become a cycle of growth. The family is no longer bound by the past, it moves forward with freedom, purpose, and harmony. The night that began with heaviness is now remembered as a turning point. You see clearly how far you have come, and you recognize the power of intentional love. The legacy of peace you create will extend beyond your lifetime. Your actions today plant seeds that will bloom in the lives of those who come after you, ensuring that the family line carries hope and light instead of pain and fear. Final lines ****, the curse has ended, the chains have fallen, and love now guides the hearts of your family. The legacy of healing begins tonight, and it will endure for generations to come. Practical and spiritual steps for healing relationships and transforming family dynamics.